Okay. All right, so I'm officially calling the meeting to order, and again, consistent with what Corla just said, I just want to make sure that everybody has their warning that the meeting is being recorded due to the special modifications to the Brown Act due to the pandemic. So you're being warned that you're going to be recorded, and after the meeting's over, we've been posting the meetings on our YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to go back and see what we said and what's happened in the meeting, you can go back and look at that. So with that, we're going to start. I'm going to call it to order. I just want to welcome all the new board members, and I want to welcome everybody after the election. That was an exciting time, and we have a new board. Yeah, exactly, with a lot of energy. And so it's just an exciting time for the Peninsula Community Planning Board. So welcome. The first thing we do at the meeting is we have to approve the agenda. I sent the agenda around to everybody. Everybody's had an opportunity to see it. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I will make a motion, Fred.
Thank you, Margaret. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Eva. Is there any questions or comments or any modifications? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
You can just raise your hand, Paul. Perfect. There we go. It looks like it has passed unanimously. All right, well, what I thought we would do first is I thought, because everybody's new, that we should have some introductions, right? And so I'm going to go around to all the board members and have everybody introduce themselves so that we can sort of get a feel for it, and also for the members of the community that are here so they get a feel for who all our new board members are. So everybody gets to say something about themselves. We can keep it short. I'd say, a minute or so or less, but I'm just going to say I'm Fred Cosmo. I've been on the board for 4 years. Obviously, I just got reelected. I've served as the first vice chair. I've served as the election chair. And for the last year, I've served as as a chair. So I really like being on the planning board because I think we make a difference in our local community. And I'm really happy to have all the new board members. And so with that, I'm going to go down the list with the existing people starting, and the new people can think about what they want to say. So with that, Brad, you are the second vice chair. Can you introduce yourself? This would be a test to see if people can get off mute.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Brad Heron, been on the board for 6 years, been second vice chair, was chair of traffic for a few years, been on project review as a board member for 4 years, going on 5. Anyway, we've got some things accomplished. It would be nice if we could see some of them actually out in our community, but I just want to thank everyone who ran. I want to thank Margaret for, crazy job in that election. And she was really prepared. And Paul, you too, you guys worked really, really hard. Thank you very much for all that you've done. And I want to thank all the new board members. It's going to be a great year. We may actually share air here at some point.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Corla, you're our treasurer. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Corla Equinta, and I've been the treasurer. I think I'm going on my 3rd year here. I've been on long range planning committee, and project review is kind of one of my favorites. Just a second. And I'm looking forward to a great year. Congratulations to new board members, and we got some work to do. Let's get it done.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah. Mandy, you're our secretary. Can you introduce yourself?
Good evening. I've been a board member for the last 2 years. In that time, I've become the chair of the Traffic and Transportation Subcommittee this last year, as well as the Parks and Rec Subcommittee. I also co-chaired the Environmental Ad Hoc Subcommittee with Eva Schmidt. Again, it's such a privilege to serve on the board, and I look forward to working with all of you and getting to know you. So, and again, to share airspace eventually. So welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Margaret, you don't even need an introduction, but go ahead and introduce yourself as one of our active board members.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations. I'm, really stoked on this new board. I see lots and lots of diversity with experience, which is really exciting. So I'm really happy to have you all be part of our team. I call it a team because it literally is. And I'm just a voice in the community. I really try my best to listen to the community and bring back concerns and issues to the table. The neighbors are living in the moment every day in each of the neighborhoods within the peninsula. So it's important that we bring these, issues to this board for discussion and decision making. And most importantly, I've served as a secretary on the board. It's my 4th year and have been super involved in all the subcommittees, whether it's co-chairing, chairing, or being just a community member. It's important to understand each and every one of our committees and really get involved, especially your first year. Just kind of sit back, take it in, and get out there and talk to your neighbors. And we are at the end of the day a representative of our community. So I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you this year. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, Eva, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Eva Schmidt. As Mandy has mentioned, this is actually my 3rd year on the board, and I've served as the co-chair of the Environmental Ad Hoc Committee the last 2 years. I've also served on the Traffic Subcommittee, and I'm excited to see all of you new faces, and welcome to the board.
Hey, Robert, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Robert Jackson. Originally was on the planning board starting in 1992, and then I've been on for the last 3 years. Was a former chair of the Point Loma Association. Was on the San Diego Police Department's advisory board, and also served as on project review with the planning board. So I'm looking forward to a successful year and with everybody working together. No politics. Let's just get the job done and get some things accomplished and work well with our city. And that's I think that's the positive direction we can go in.
Perfect. All right, Don, I think you're our longest serving, I guess, and then most knowledgeable board member. So you can introduce yourself.
By a year, perhaps. Don Severance. I've been secretary for 2 years. I've been on the Park and Recreation Committee for my entire tenure. I'm working on a couple projects that the board chose not to take on officially. One is a pocket park of 3 acres. That park has been approved unanimously at every level. It is ready to go to bid. The only problem is that the city, after spending 6.5 years on that, has run out of money. So it's awaiting a decision to fund it in full. And the Voltaire Street Bridge is a project I've taken on to turn a plain Jane into something that is very attractive. I've gotten quite a bit of help from 2 board members, Robert Tripp Jackson and returning to us, Joe Holisek. So I appreciate that. I haven't met Sam Lobb as yet, but one of my jobs in college was working in Los Gatos, at Los Gatos Lodge.
Very good.
All right, so now we're going to turn to the new people. So, and welcome them, and we're really happy to have you. So starting with, we'll go with Joe Holisek.
Hi, my name's Joe Holisek. I served on the board for 3 years and took a couple of year hiatus, but during that time, during my tenure on the board, I was on the Architecture Review Committee and also in the break where I wasn't on the board for a couple of years. And so I know most of you, many of you, and I feel like I'm back with friends. It's really good to be back.
Okay. And how about Matt? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Matt Shallis. For the past couple of years, I've worked as a community member on the Transportation and Traffic Subcommittee. I commute pretty much every day by bicycle from the northern edge of Point Loma to the southern tip, where I collect data on a floating platform in the harbor. But yeah, I spend a lot of time moving through the peninsula and just thinking about how people inhabit the space here and how we're going to be able to, help people move through it in a very reasonable way. Looking forward to working with all of you this year.
Well, we're looking forward to getting your insights. So Sam, you're also a new member. How about if you introduce yourself?
Okay. Well, first off, it's a pleasure to meet everybody. I'm enjoying hearing everybody give their background. In my situation, I want to actually also congratulate everybody who has served on the board and who's currently elected. From my standpoint, I first got involved with Point Loma area when we bought a home here in 2002. While my wife and I were living in Europe, we were actually working for a Silicon Valley company where I've worked for many years. And that's how I happened to be associated with Los Gatos and the Planning Commission at one time for 10 years. And I love everything about this community. And when we finally retired, we decided to buy our home here, not the home we first bought, but a home in the Peninsula area here. And so I welcome everybody again and I look forward to working, and I want to be a very good listener to all of you with all the information you bring.
All right, well, thank you, Sam. Paul, I know you're off in Vail or somewhere in the snow there, but can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, actually, that's, I'm not even sure how that got there. I think my wife must have put the background in. My name is Paul Webb, and I'm a former two-term board member. And when I was on the board, I was the chair of the airport committee, and I was the board's representative to the ANAC. I was also a board member as a board member on the project review committee and on the traffic and transportation committee. I am a former urban planner. I've been retired for a number of years, but I've worked at state, local, and to a limited extent, federal level of government throughout the course of a 35-year career. And I think I have some skills that I'm happy to bring to the board, and I look forward to working with everybody.
Perfect, perfect. Let's see, we got Angela, I think who's in Yosemite, so we can have Angela say hi to us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Vetter, and I am excited and honored to have been elected to serve on this board. I have grown up here. My children are going to be third generation Point Lomans, and I'm just happy to, be a team with all of you. So thank you for welcome.
Okay, well, perfect, perfect. And we'll go with the theme of bicycle riding. How about Nicole? Can you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Fred. Nicole Burgess here. I am a former board member and served on the transportation in both the OB and Point Loma, as well as the city mobility board, and as well as the environment. And I've become very passionate about the water issues in San Diego. And great to see all of you here and working with all of you. And most of you know me, I do commute by bike, and it is a wonderful perspective to see our city, to see what's happening, as Matt says, and how we can all move through this. I will call it a climate crisis, what we've gone through the last year, and we're going to encounter more, and how we can really be resilient on the peninsula is going to be important. And so I thank city staff for being here and for all of us collaborating together.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, last but not least, Tina.
Hello, I'm Tina Compton, and thank you very much for welcoming me to this community and the board. I'm excited to represent and be a liaison for the people and for our community. I've lived here in San Diego for many years, but in Point Loma actively for over 20 years. So I'm excited. My kids have grown up here. I've grown up here. Or actually not, my old age is grown up here. But anyways, I look forward to being an advocate and really being a liaison for the people. So thank you very much for welcoming me on this board. And I look forward to promoting a good activity and a good community here and everything that's we're here for. Thank you.
Oh, perfect, perfect. All right, so just a couple of reminders for the new people. One is that you have to go to the city and get your cow training. And that's important so that you make sure that you're all up to speed on the policies and procedures of the city. And that also gives you indemnity and protection from the city in case there's ever any problems down the road. So it's super important. Corla, do you have any information, or if people have questions, can you help them?
I can that was going to be part of my CPC report. Tony announced at the last CPC meeting that the eCow information will be available soon. I have not personally checked that, but go to sandiego.gov, planning department, eCow, and community members on your committees also need to take the eCow. So when the committees form and chairs all get to know that, everybody should take that, but it's sandiego.gov. to the planning department tab, to the eCow tab, and we'll see if it's up there now.
Okay, and then along those lines too, for all the new people, I'm gonna have Paul Grimes say hi to you guys for a second, but Paul's helped us out. I mean, he did a great job on the election, but he's also helps us out with the website, and he's gonna need to get a picture and information from each one of you so that we can post your information as a board member. So Paul, do you wanna say hi?
Hi there. Paul Grimes here. I've been the webmaster, believe it or not, since 2007 for this organization. And I've also served on the traffic and the airport committees for several years, not consecutively. Also worked on the election committee, and I'll work with anybody on this group, specifically chairs. But I do report to the chair of the PCPB, so don't be upset if I'm copying that person in on everything that I receive from you folks. If I see anything that looks a little funny or that I might have a question on with, I will talk to the chair before posting anything. So glad to see you all here, and congratulations to the new people.
Yeah, so Paul, if you can reach out to each one of the new board members and give them sort of a introduction and have them send you.
It would be nice if they all the new people were up to be able to go up onto the website and look at the board page and maybe see what people have done as far as photos and a bio. If you can come up with something roughly to the same length, we'd appreciate it. And you could send it to me. I'll send you all an email out later about that. Thank you.
All right, perfect. All right, so with that, we need to get down to start doing some business. And the first thing we need to do is we need to elect a chair, and we have to elect our board officers. So the first position that would be up would be a position of chair. I've chaired for the last year. If somebody wanted to nominate me, I'd be willing to do it again. But if there's others that are interested, they could be nominated too. So I'll open it up to that.
I'd like to nominate Fred. I'd like to nominate Fred Cosmo for chair.
Likewise. Likewise.
I move to close the nominations.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate it. So all those in favor of me continuing as chair, please raise your hand. All right, that appears to be unanimous. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor. It's been an honor to serve with all of you, and I'm super excited about the new board. So with that, then the next position up is first vice chair, and that was David Dick. And Dave is no longer here, so it's wide open. So do we have somebody who's interested in being first vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Margaret Verissimo for first chair.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations for first vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Brad.
Oh, well, that's nice, Eva, but that's I've kind of hit the Peter principle at second vice chair, and I think Margaret, really, she's just such an advocate in the community. She's always sending everybody stuff. I think Margaret would be a great first vice chair.
Are you willing to accept that position, Margaret, as this nomination? You will accept that?
I'd be honored. Thank you.
I'll second that nomination.
All right. Is there anybody else that any other nominations for first vice chair? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor of Margaret? Okay. That
Thank
appears to be
you.
unanimous too.
I'm gonna really enjoy working alongside of you, Fred.
Congratulations, Margaret. I'm very happy for you. You're perfect. All right, so second vice chair, Brad has served as second vice chair, and he's been really helpful to me as far as kind of a special projects person, and plus helping me with the mailbox and all that. So I'll open it up for nominations. I would think that Brad should be nominated, but if others are interested, let's see.
Brad, did you want the third?
Yeah, I'd continue. I'm kind of Fred's gopher.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Or I'll nominate Angela Vetter.
Oh,
Okay, do we have any other nominations for second vice chair? All right, all those in favor of Brad?
I think they did, I think was Fangela one or no?
I nominated Angela Vetter.
well, I wouldn't want to take that from Brad. He's comfortable with that position, but thank you, Tina. I appreciate it.
Okay, I don't want to, yeah, I mean, so do we have any other nominations then besides Brad?
Well, do we have Angela nominated? I thought I heard that.
Angela was nominated, but it sounded to me as if she withdrew. So if that's, it's her choice. If she wants to be a part of it, I'm happy to let her do it. What's your preference, Angela?
Well, I appreciate it. But I know that, Brad has the experience, and so I think that would be best. So I withdraw, or whatever you call that.
Okay. I think we'll call that politely decline the nomination, but feel honored about it.
Okay. But thank you, Tina.
Okay.
I love you too, Brad.
All right, so it seems like Brad is our only candidate. All those in favor of having Brad as the second vice chair? That appears to be unanimous to me. Perfect.
Thank you.
Corla has served as our treasurer. So the next position up is treasurer. And so can we have a nomination for treasurer and see if there's anybody else who's interested in doing it, or whether Corla would be willing to continue?
I'm willing to continue it, but if anyone else is interested, that's, I always like everybody to do whatever they want to do. So
I nominate Corla.
Let's second that.
Okay, do we have any other nominations for treasurer?
I nominate Don Severance.
Okay, Don? Any other nominations for treasurer? Okay, do we want to have any discussion, Don? Do you want to say anything before the vote?
No, thank you.
Okay, Corla, did you need to say anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right, we got Don and we got Corla, so let's start with all those in favor of Corla as treasurer, please raise your hand. Yes, I've got Sam, Corla, Joe, Nicole, Matt, Brad, Paul, Eva. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. I got 8 for Corla. All right, all those for Don? I have got Don, Margaret, Mandy, Angela, Tina. So that's 5. All right. 8 to 5. We have 8 to 5. Corla, you are the new treasurer.
Very much.
Next position up is secretary. And again, I will say that Mandy's done a wonderful job and given us the most detailed minutes that we've had since it's been there. So do we have any nominations for secretary?
I'd like to nominate Mandy Havlick to continue as secretary.
I'll accept that nomination, Margaret. Thank you.
Second that nomination.
Okay, do we have any other nominations for secretary?
Don't do it, people.
Okay. Let Mandy do it. Mandy's the best. All right, all those in favor of Mandy?
If she wants to take it on,
There we go. You're unanimous, Mandy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, I think those are all the officer positions. We have the minutes that Mandy just circulated. I don't know if have people had enough time to take a look at those minutes. Can we approve them now?
Yeah.
They're pretty detailed. to
I'll
me.
make a motion, Fred, to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you, Eva. Is there any discussion about the minutes?
I would think that Fred, would only the prior board members vote on that and not the elected members?
That would
Yes.
be correct. Only the prior board members would vote on that. All right. Any other discussion about the minutes? Brad, do you have a question?
Paul's name was just, you needed to add an S to Paul's name in terms of being attending. And then I wasn't quite sure. Lucky brought up that situation with development in fire areas, and I'm just wondering, I wasn't really quite sure what his take on that was, if he thought, because we had a comment about housing shortage at the same time. And I didn't know if he thought it was inappropriate, it was okay to develop there or not. So, I mean, he did bring it up. I guess I was just trying to parse it a little bit, but that's the only comments I have.
Yeah,
I'd say
Brad, if
they're
you want me
awesome.
to be clear, I mean, you can go look at the meeting. I can
Yeah,
review
yeah,
the
no, I mean,
meeting,
I just didn't know if he was concerned about fires there or concerned about housing, but
I think there was a
other than
concern for
that,
housing
they were
being
fine.
built in fire-prone zones. I can be clear in the meeting verbiage if you need me to.
No,
that was my recollection.
But anyway, other than that, I thought they were great. And I did get a chance to read them a few minutes ago.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay, so do we need to put a clarification in the minutes on that, or are we okay?
I don't know how important it is. I just thought that
I'm happy to amend my motion to accept the meeting minutes with that correction, Brad.
Yeah, that would be no problem, Brad, for me to, bring further clarity to that statement if you needed it.
Well, I was just asking everybody else how they remembered that, if it was that little piece of the meeting, it's been a month, I was just, I didn't quite remember what his take was on that. Not that it's that important, but I mean, that would be the only question that I had. So whether or not they need to truly be changed, it's just up to the rest of us.
Yeah, my recollection was the same as Mandy's. It was the concern of development in fire-prone areas was my recollection.
Okay, fine. No change needed then.
All right, well then no change needed?
And at least, other than an S for Paul.
Other than Paul's, yeah. I'll make sure to make that typo. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, Brad.
I was concerned about Paul's feelings.
Technically, the term is wildland fire zones, and vast swaths of our city are in wildland fire zones.
Would you like to make an amendment, Joe?
No, because I wasn't at the previous meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead. I'll amend Paul's last name, and then I think we just need a vote to approve the meeting minutes.
Okay. All those in favor of approving do you have a comment, Margaret? Okay,
No,
all those
we're
in
voting.
favor of approving the minutes? Okay, all right, we got Don, Corla, Margaret, Mandy, Brad, Eva, Robert. So I think that's unanimous of the people that were from the old board. All right, and we will put everybody else down as an abstention because they were not part of part of the board. All right. Well, with that, we get to go to board reports, and I mean, we've already done the board report. I think it was a great election, and really, really appreciate the election committee and everything they did. So that's really, and it's just, again, fabulous to have a new board together. So I don't know if Corla or Mandy or any other, Corla, do you want to say anything as treasurer?
I do. I'd like to report our balance is the same as last month. No activity so far, 757.81. And Paul has submitted an invoice, and God bless him for all that he does. And he's been giving us a pandemic break and all kinds of great things and invaluable service. And he submitted an invoice to us for $255. And I'd like to make a motion that we pay Paul on his
I'll
invoice.
second your motion, Corla.
Any further discussion on that motion? I'll just make the side comment. I mean, he did a tremendous job and posted new countless stuff. So thank you, Paul. All right. All those in favor of approving the paying the invoice for Paul? And I see everybody's hand up. So that has passed unanimously. Perfect.
There is one update from traffic and transportation. Gary Pence reached out. There had been community requests for a stop sign that got approved for Froude and Devonshire. And so that has been approved and will be installed here, hopefully within the next 6 months. But I just want to bring that as an update to the board.
All right, Brad, do you have any officer reports or anything you want to add?
Only thing I want to comment I'd make would be Mailboxes Express. They give us a free mailbox. So Jason down there, 1220 Rosecrans, when we walked in to get those mail-in ballots, I think that Paul and I met Margaret there. I think our eyes kind of popped out of our heads. There were over 300 ballots down there at mailboxes. So those guys are busy. They're always holding all of our plan sets for project review. Anyway, helping the community. So I'm kind of giving them a plug for stepping up and doing their part.
And if I may, I'd like to echo on that, Brad, and maybe send a thank you note from the chair on the behalf of the Peninsula Community Planning Board, because they really had to step up to gather all the votes for us. And we were constantly calling them and, asking them if mail had come in. And I mean, they went above and beyond to make sure that we were taken care of that day. So I think just a nice, simple note from the board, I think would be great. And if I have to make a motion deemed appropriate for that request, I am happy to do so.
I think we can do that without a motion.
Okay, great. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret.
Okay,
Thank you.
so moving on. Do we have any non-agenda public comment tonight? Go ahead, Margaret.
I want to thank Christine. I believe it's Christine Garcia with the library. She's on here tonight with our own local Point Loma library. Big round of applause to her. It was difficult to communicate back and forth between the election committee and Christine. She made it happen. There's a ton of steps in reserving the library. Unfortunately, as you all got to know, we didn't get to have the in-person election in the library. We had to come up with a COVID plan, a safe COVID plan last minute in the parking lot. And it went through a bunch of steps, which was going through the church across the street for approvals. And Christine really, helped us outside the box in the system of going through the city to get all those approvals. So I thank you, Christine. We love our local library. And so thank you. I know you're on here and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Anytime.
Okay, and Robert, do you have non-agenda public comment?
Well, yes, I guess I saw today, and I had no idea, David Martin passed away. He was our former chair of PLA and very active in the OB community and used to, have the Shades restaurant. and just wanted to put my thoughts out because he was a hard worker, pleasure to work with, and he did a lot. So if people haven't heard about it, I just wanted to make a mention of it.
Well, that's sad news. Tracy, do you have public comment?
I do. I have San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture public comment.
Okay.
For the new members, congratulations. You're in for a good ride.
Thank you.
But I just want to introduce myself. I am on the Ocean Beach Planning Board, but I also am a commissioner for the San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture. And I was appointed by the mayor to represent District 2. So if you have any questions about arts funding, anything that I can do to help answer any questions, I'm here, and I'll put my contact in the chat. But something I wanted to point out specifically for this month is that after a year of being on the commission, I discovered that the city had put together a helpful toolkit to help city residents and organizations navigate the application process for murals within the public right-of-way. And this could be examples of like crosswalk murals or intersection murals or anything that is on public property. The city requires that any artwork proposed for property owned by the city under the jurisdiction of the city or both be reviewed by the Commission for Arts and Culture and be approved by the city, but they are now using a placemaking application process to make the application process more streamlined and easier. So if you're interested in proposing a mural for city property or the public right of way, I am going to post a link to this toolkit in the chat. And I would encourage anybody who's thinking about doing this to check out the toolkit. Also, I am going to post the Commission's Twitter account after a presentation I gave on how effective social media was. The city decided to grant the Commission an opportunity to have a Twitter account again. So they are using this to make announcements of funding opportunities, deadlines, exciting news, projects, and other arts and culture events that your TOT dollars are paying for. So I will put that information in the chat as well. And that is it for me tonight. There's way more, but I'm going to hold it at that.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Nicole, do you got a public comment?
Yeah, real quick public comment on code updates for the city of San Diego in January. The code and some of their codes is for businesses. This is important for businesses, and I was afraid that maybe some stay on top of them. So just for business, that you can actually replace your vehicle parking with those. So bike parking, skateboard parking, golf cart parking. So that's a code update. Parklets in parking lots can become permanent. So Harbor Town can become permanent if they chose to be. Then just a future agenda item, and we'll talk about it in the transportation agenda item, is a non-residential parking reform coming. And I just want to make sure OB, Point Loma, and the coastal communities are included in this non-residential parking reform and have that discussion. So look forward to continuing these conversations.
Perfect. Thank you, Nicole. Corla, do you have a comment?
I do. I have some non-agenda items. I'd like to thank Tracy from Ocean Beach. You can always count on her to be at a meeting and be full of information. And she's just extremely helpful and a wonderful addition to our meetings. Thank you, Tracy, so much. I sent this out to the board, but I wanted to announce it to non-board members. There's a food distribution event at the Pachinko Sports Arena put on by Feeding San Diego on May 1st from 10 to noon. Last time I didn't get the first notice until about 2 hours before, but apparently they were able to give out 1,400 baskets or whatever to families. The summer beach construction project restrictions are in effect. They've gone into effect, and I got an email about that if anybody would like to see it. The summer concerts in the park are canceled until next year. And then I attend town council and planning commission meetings in a little town called Boulder, Utah, where I have a cabin. And they have gone, and the only reason I can do that is because of Zoom. And they have gone to a hybrid type of meeting. And I don't think we probably have the budget for that. They're using something called an OWL, and they can have a socially distant group as well as Zoom, and it's kind of a hybrid thing. So it was real interesting. I took some screenshots of what that looks like. If anyone's interested, they can contact me and I will send you the screenshots of what that looked like.
Margaret, do you have a comment?
I do. I forgot, and I had promised my group that I was going to bring this up under public comment, but I just became a Point Loma Rotarian last week. And I have to say that our local clubs, the Point Loma clubs, need involvement and help. Due to COVID, they got hit pretty hard with memberships. And the Point Loma Rotary does some amazing things for our local community, a lot of philanthropy, a lot of volunteer work, and their big thing is service. So I feel pretty proud to be part of that group, and also, you know, share with the community that they need support. So if any of you've got extra time and need to get involved with the Rotary, it's an incredible group, and they meet every Friday right now, and everyone's welcome to join. They usually have inspirational, motivational, interesting speakers every Friday at 12 noon. I can send you the Zoom link and information, but right now they're inviting potential new members to join these meetings and kind of get to know the Point Loma Rotary. And then really quickly, if you don't mind, Christine, do you have any updates on the library? I do have, because I do manage over 68 community pages. I do have lots of neighbors asking what the deal is with the library right now in today's world, and how we can access the library, or any updates you can share with the group would be great.
Sure. Hi, good evening, everyone. Christine Gonzalez here from the Point Loma Library. As of right now, library is open for limited services, which means that pretty much you can have items ordered and sent over to the Point Loma branch, and you can pick them up there at the library. You would check in with the security guard and with the staff there at the entrance, and you can come in and pick up items. The other thing you're able to do is to use the internet for an hour. So you're able to come in and do that. As of right now, there is no browsing of the collection. And so if there are materials that anyone would need, you can call the library, and then library staff will go through and pull items for you. Right now, they're under discussions in terms of what the next step is for us. As you can imagine, now that the students are back in school, we're getting a lot of questions in terms of when we are planning to open. So what we've been told at this point is they're kind of moving in that direction. We were able to open our book sale room, and so they're still looking at capacities and such. So as soon as we're able, you know, when we have additional information, we'll be sure to share that with everyone. We are continuing, as you can imagine, all our programming, everything is now virtual. So we have homework help, we have a lot of different programs that we're doing. So I can share that, Margaret, with you so that you can get it to your families, you know, that are asking, because there are programs and things that they can get involved with.
So Christine, the other question would be when you get information as to when we could possibly have a in-person planning board meeting.
Yes.
When they open up the room there.
Right. As soon as I know that we can move forward with that, I'll be sure to contact both you and Margaret to let you know. I already have it on my calendar that the third Thursday of the month is always saved for the planning board. So, you know, when we get closer to that time, I'll reach out to both of you, and then like that, we can go over what that's going to look like. I know, you know, before we used to give the key the day of, so we'll go into those details you know, when I get closer to being told that we can allow people to have meetings in our meeting room.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
I have
Go ahead, Eva.
I have a comment and also a question for you, Christine. Thank you for the update first. My comment, the the library has been a true lifeline for our family this last year. I have 2 elementary age daughters who are still not in school. And, you know, our almost weekly walks or bike rides to the library to get some new books or get audiobooks or get some new movies has been one of the highlights during this pandemic for us. And the staff has always been helpful and cheerful, and it's truly been one of the experiences that I wouldn't want to have missed this last year. It gave us a sense of connection to our community. It got my kids excited and engaged about reading and learning. And the library really is one of our, I think, hubs in this community. It's been wonderful. The question I guess I have is, we have a stack of books and audiobooks we need to return. Is the book drop now open after hours, or is it still only open during library hours?
No, it's open 24 hours a day.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay. Corla, do you have another comment?
Well, since we're on the library and meetings and different things, first I was going to say this in my CPC report, but I think this is a better time. Misty Jones and Patrick Stewart from the Library Foundation made a presentation at CPC as the library is updating their master plan from 2002. And Christine could probably answer any questions anyone has. If you have not done so, please take the library survey before 4/17. So that's coming right up. It's supportmylibrary.org/take the survey master plan. I can post in the chat. They have a low materials budget, especially for a large urban area, and need a bigger budget. So input on that would be greatly appreciated. And my other comment, which goes to the library, is the city's not given us permission to meet yet, as everyone knows, but Tony Kempton specifically asked everybody what they thought. Do they want to meet on Zoom? Do they want to this? Do they want to that? And so it may very well be that we will continue meeting on Zoom. It's just undecided. And we certainly appreciate the library, and you know, it would be wonderful. And thank you, Christine. That's my comments. Thank you.
Okay. Any other non-agenda public comment? All right. Well, let's try it. We'll go to some government reports then. So you and I, we had some correspondence. So why don't you bring us up to date with what's going on with the mayor's office, and maybe let us know what's going on with Midland.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Coda Zeiser. I'm the District 2 Community Representative for Mayor Gloria. Yeah, as Fred alluded to, we did chat about the Surplus Land Act. So I'll have an update for that at the end of my report. But before that, I just wanted to discuss a few other items from our office. Firstly is the San Diego Housing Commission's Housing Stability Program. That is the emergency rental assistance available for residential tenants for past due rent and past due utilities. So there are still a ton of funds available. We received roughly $83 million, and a lot of them are still there. So we want to make sure that money gets allocated and out to the people who need them most. So if you are struggling to pay rent, if you know a neighbor or a friend who is, please do pass along the link that I'll be putting in the chat in a sec. I do also want to highlight the Library Foundations or the library survey as well. So I'll have a link in the chat for that too. So I'll put that in there. And then the other thing is the convention center. So there's been a lot of news about that recently. As you may all know, at the end of March, Operation Shelter to Home concluded. That was the homeless program that was running out of the convention center for the last year or so. As that was winding down, we got a call from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to basically open the shelter up, or open the convention center up to shelter unaccompanied migrant children. Our office and Mayor Gloria did answer the call, and in late March, early April, we started welcoming the first group of kids. So initially it was all teenage girls ages 13 to 17. Since then, we have also expanded that the shelter to younger children ages 5 to 13, which is a co-ed group. And essentially when they get there, they're receiving medical attention, hot showers, warm food, a place to sleep, and really we're a temporary place while they get connected to family and sponsors who are already in the US. And so the federal government estimates that each of the kids will be there for about 30 to 35 days. And then this program will conclude at the end of July with the intention of us resuming normal operations at the convention center, like events and conventions, come August. So we received a lot of outreach about how people can volunteer or donate. And so I'll be putting a link in the chat for South Bay Community Services. That is the organization who's really intaking all of that. For volunteers, you will have to pass a background check, and you do not have to speak Spanish though. And then for donations, they ask for non-food items and anything else to be new items. So no hand-me-down clothes or old school supplies, new items there. And then the Surplus Land Act. So I'm sure you guys all saw the Voice of San Diego article a few weeks ago. Basically, the state needed to clarify the language of what was really affected and impacted by the Surplus Land Act. And so the state did clarify the language. Essentially, the previous administration believed that the Surplus Land Act did not apply to leased lands, which is what the sports arena development is. However, it does. And so while they were providing, while we were waiting for them to provide clarifying language, everything was kind of on hold. The state did in the last 2 weeks provide that language. And currently our policy team and the city attorney's office are going through all that language to see how it basically affects and impacts this project. We do believe, just initially looking at the language, that we are going to have to comply with the Surplus Land Act, but there should be a final decision from the city attorney's office in the next week or two. So at this time, it really doesn't change anything on the project other than really kind of delaying it. But we do have to comply with the state's rules on this. It was an assumption made previously early on in the process, and now we're kind of feeling the impact of it now. But it's not, we don't believe it's going to derail the project in any way. It's just going to add some time to it.
Okay, do we have any questions, Margaret?
I do have a question. I have not been able to get any answers because I'm the Midway license. I go to those meetings and they canceled their last one.
Mhm.
So I have a question for you in regards to the Midway development. Is it true that the development company that was supposed to develop this project has pulled out, or there's a big halt on the project now?
You're referring to Brookfield, I believe is the name of the company.
Correct. And the only reason why I'm asking you is because Todd Gloria was a big proponent and an advocate for this project. So
Yes, yeah. To my understanding, Brookfield is still there. I believe negotiations are paused while we go through the clarifying language that was provided by the state. But my understanding is that negotiations are still ongoing there. I don't have any details about what the negotiations are, but as far as I know, I do not think that Brookfield has pulled out.
Okay.
I have a
Margaret,
question.
I think that, just so if I can clarify, so the part that Coda said earlier, the Surplus Land Act, that's a legal monkey wrench that slowed everything down. So everything's basically on hold while they try to figure out that issue.
Correct.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, Coda, there's a report or perhaps rumor that the lead negotiator for Brookfield has pulled out or is no longer serving in that role.
Okay. Is that just that individual, or what did the report clarify if it was the entire?
Well, no, I'm asking. I really don't have it. I'm not trying to pass along information. I'm
Okay.
asking.
Got it. Yeah, when I received the briefing from our policy team, that was not included. And so I can definitely circle back and see if that is true. And I can report back to Fred as soon as I get that answer.
Any other questions? I'm going to go off topic if that's okay. Coda, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
But I've been working with our friends in Ocean Beach, and the Ocean Beach Pier is like, it's the treasure for this part of the community, and it's been severely damaged, and
yes,
and we need money to fix it. And so, what's the mayor's position on trying to get money to help repair the OB Pier?
Yeah, so we have a briefing about that next week, actually. And so for us right now, obviously, we want to restore this landmark to not only its former glory, but also reinforce it. So that way, the next time a big storm comes along, we don't go through this ordeal again. Right now, we are basically assessing the pier. For a while, we were pretty prohibited because of the high tides and the poor weather. Last week, our consultant was able to finally finish his assessment and is finalizing his report to give to the city. And at that point, we'll know the timeline, we'll know the cost, and we'll know essentially what we need to do to repair it. There are structural issues with that pier, though. I'm sure you've seen the OB Rags article about, which was in 2019 before it was closed, right? So there are structural issues that we definitely need to address there. In terms of funding, we won't know the full cost of this until the consultant's report is provided to us. And so then we'll basically touch base and see how we can get this funding for it. This is a high priority for us as well, though. That pier is, an incredible landmark, and not only the OB and Midway community, but for all of San Diego. And so we are prioritizing it and wanting to make sure that it returns to public use soon.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I do have a question, Fred.
Okay, go ahead.
Fred, can I ask?
Yes.
Coda, thank you so much for being here. Coda, I appreciate you. And I just want to, I know District 2 is aware of it, their staff, but I wanted to make sure you were aware of it. West Point Loma was a wonderful community project of a 4-lane corridor that was up for resurfacing about 4 years ago. And when we had it resurfaced, we had the community come together and really advocate for a road diet there to get class 4 bike lanes there. It was a huge, great win for the community. Unfortunately, with the pipeline, only got half of it finished, and we lost, it has been removed from the funding project list. For the last year, it got delayed over and over, and now it's completely lost funding. And I just want to make sure the mayor's office acknowledges this. And this is one of those quick build projects. It's already designed. It's already there. It's half built. It's a half built cycle track.
Yeah.
If Mayor Glory wants to hear that one's crazy. So I know he would appreciate, and we would appreciate the mayor's office for looking into that and helping D2 get that one finished. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, of course. Nicole, if we could touch base offline about that as well. I know you and I met about bike lanes citywide, but definitely we can touch base about this specifically.
Yes, happy to. Thanks, Coda.
Thanks, Nicole.
Okay. Paul, did you have a question?
Yeah, back on the topic of the OB pier, I've been reviewing the 2019 Moffett and Nickel report on the pier. It was a very, very detailed assessment of the damage and the design deficiencies. Who's doing the assessment that's currently ongoing?
I do not know the consultant. In terms of the city department, it's engineering capital improvements. The lifeguards are involved, as well as Parks and Rec is involved, but I don't know the consultant that they contracted out to. I can check in though. I'm not sure if it's the same one as the 2019 report, but I can report back to you, Paul.
Well, I would hope it is. Moffett and Nickel is one of the preeminent firms in coastal engineering. And they've done a tremendous job a couple of years ago. So I hope that you're still using them.
It would be logical for us to use them again, but I can definitely get you that answer.
Okay, any other questions? Coda, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
That was very informative. Andrew, do you want to give us a report, please?
Yes, I would. Thanks, Fred. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Harvey. I am a community rep under Supervisor Nora Vargas. Also a resident of Ocean Beach, live off of Pescadero and Santa Cruz. So it's great to be involved in local issues. I'll start with some community updates. So tier opened up today. So anyone 16 and over can go and get vaccinated. And we're moving forward with reaching that herd immunity of 80%. And vaccinating all the communities. And just have an announcement. I'm sure you've seen in the news about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So we've had about 80,000 J&J vaccines administered in San Diego, and we've had no serious cases, but we do encourage anyone feeling ill to reach out to their primary medical provider or to seek help immediately. And we are working with a small business grant. So if you know anyone that's interested in applying for that, I'd be more than happy to pass along that information. And then at our last board meeting, we extended the tenant eviction moratorium the last meeting until June. And some people were concerned about this, especially on the landlord side. So we took an equitable and holistic approach to this. We were really afraid about families being displaced and facing poverty and homelessness. but there are tenant resources and landlord resources at the state level. So if you're also interested in those applications, I'll put my information in the chat. I'm more than happy to connect about that. I'll also like to say, Christine, thank you for all that you do. Our library staff all over the county has been such a huge help with getting our communities vaccinated. So it's great to have you on the call. And Nicole, that's a very, very cool board in the background, by the way. And then that's it on my end. Thank you, everybody.
All right, well, Andrew, I'm just gonna make my first comment, but I made a lot of comments last month about vaccinations. I think you guys, just anecdotal, but I mean, I was able to get my at-risk son vaccinated and we rode his coattails and I know a lot of people now that are under 65 that had health conditions and are getting vaccinated. So it seems to be going better. So you guys are doing a good job, I think.
Thank you so much, Fred.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Andrew? All right. Thanks, Andrew. All right, Tracy, our favorites down in Ocean Beach. Do you have any updates for us?
Just a quick couple of announcements. Of course, we seated our 2021 board members and we added one new person. She's actually from the war zone area, which is where I live, and she's really enthusiastic and excited to learn more about the process and be part of the community. So she might pop into a meeting occasionally for you guys. We still have 2 vacancies though. So if you know anybody who lives in the Ocean Beach planning area, the application process for vacancies is you still fill out the application, but you only need to get 10 signatures from the area, and then you go before the board and the board votes. And if approved, then you are appointed to one of the districts in Ocean Beach. And it doesn't really matter for an appointment what district you apply for, you just apply. So if anybody's interested in being on the board, they can contact me or Andrea or go through the website. Lastly, at the last meeting, we reviewed the recommendations from the Parks Subcommittee. And one of our board members put together a really comprehensive, beautiful report that talked about ideas that we had as a committee and some community members for improving the parks that we all have access to. And some of these parks, of course, are not located in the Ocean Beach planning area. So one of the suggestions was by the board is that we go back to the drawing board, not totally to the drawing board, but we're going to go back to the planning or the subcommittee, take into account all of the ideas and input that we got from other board members and communities. We're going to revise it. And then what we would like to do is propose these ideas to other communities, yourself included. So of course, some of our parks are located in Mission Bay Park. And one of the parks that we assessed was in Peninsula. So we definitely want to get everybody's input. And then maybe we could submit all of these suggestions at one time and represent the entire area of our parks. So stay tuned for that. You'll probably end up seeing the full proposal and everything that people have discussed within the next few months, I hope, but we'll see. But I think that's it. Anybody have any questions? Nope. Great.
Good. Thanks, Tracy.
I'm going to go back to my pizza.
Perfect. I'm jealous. All right, now for the new members. I mean, a lot of you have attended meetings, but I think that really project review, I mean, that's the bread and butter of the planning board. That's something we have to do. And that's really to give back to the community, to get projects processed and help improve the community. So that's where we're going next is project review. We have one project. We're in that golden moment between chairs. So I think Brad is going to go ahead and make the presentation on this project for us.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Gallagher ADU. Let's see, Lee Hope is the architect. Saw him. There he is.
Hi.
Hi. We went through this pretty straightforward accessory dwelling unit. What they're doing is they're tearing down an existing garage and then putting in another one and adding a bedroom downstairs and 2 bedrooms up. It is, the setbacks farther back than typical. It's under height. FAR is okay. They have plenty of parking. Well, the required amount. The questions that we had prior to the vote were effectively that the design is different than the existing. They're just, a lot of times you want to see something that it's integrated, but Lee characterized it that he's going to be talking to the homeowner. Likely they're going to be getting rid of their kind of cheap tile roof and going to a composition shingle. And I imagine some other design changes, but all in all, it seemed pretty straightforward. The homeowner likely will be living in the back. Now to think about it, we also had a little bit of concern that the plan, Lee will probably share the plan with you in a moment, didn't have a laundry in a 2-bedroom place. So Lee's trying to find a place maybe under a stairwell or something like that to shoehorn a laundry in. But anyway, we voted to approve. Lee's done good work in the community, and so we imagine he would continue that with this project. So it was unanimous 5-0. So anyway, Lee, if you want, I don't know if you would like to share
Sure.
What's going on with the project.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting with the first meeting of the board. It's exciting. It's like Jim explained. It's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. The reason the laundry's not there is the owner just doesn't want. She still thinks she's going to use the main residence as that's her thing. And so, there's only so much you can. So many times I can ask her. So she,
right.
So she doesn't want it, but it doesn't really matter in the coastal, that they're really worried about the exterior and that type of thing. So she still has time to, throw in a laundry room, and there's room on the lower level. As far as the, I'm going to share the screen here.
Yeah, the elevations would probably help for everybody to look at those.
Can you guys see that?
I can't see it yet.
Okay. Hang on.
Here it comes.
There we go.
Do you see it?
Yep.
Yes.
We can see it.
Okay, good. All right. So anyway, there's the site plan. This is the main residence. This is the companion unit in the back. If you can see that, I know this is is it too small to see, or can you kind of make it?
No, it's perfect.
It's good.
Okay, good. And this is Saratoga Street. It's a lot higher on Saratoga Street than it is on the alley. There's a decent drop. So this is on the lower part of the alley. Right across the street, I did a couple of years ago, another ADU, and also went through coastal. So they're kind of back to back. And what I will say is I go to just the demo plan. This is the existing garage being removed. It's a 2-car garage. It's really old. That's coming out. So if you look at the floor plan, here's the lower floor plan. We are replacing the parking. It's not as expansive as the garage, but it's 2-car parking. And then the lower level, the entry in with a little gate off the alley here into a patio, into the unit with a bedroom and a bath, and then a stair up to the 2nd level. So what I'm trying to create is these ADU things giving us a chance to improve alleys, turning them into, pedestrian kind of areas where this is their front yard. And that's kind of what I did on the one across the street. And I'm trying to do it here because I think that is, alley improvement. Definitely it needs it in our community. So anyway, so down here is a potentially where it would be an easy redesign to throw in a top and bottom load washing machine, but right now she doesn't want one. So then you go up the stairs, kitchen, living, little dining, another bedroom and bath, and 2 decks off either side. And then if you go to the elevation, they commented on their plainness. This is just, you know, the basic look. They will be detailed more when I get to, you know, approval and do the construction documents. But this is the alley elevation here that I'm circling. So you have a deck here, the garage space, and then the entries over here. So there's going to be a little gate here going in with a deck above. So, I mean, once it's detailed, it'll look good. And it's, I think the geometry of it's good. It's the bones are there, just needs a little more detail. And it's got a little yard in front. So I think as far as, you know, pedestrian scale, that type of thing, I think it's going to work out good. This is the side where you come in off the alley and in the door. The site section. So this is kind of showing the elevation. This is Saratoga, the main residence here. They got a big deck here, and then downstairs to the new unit, which is quite a bit lower, obviously, because it's sitting lower. And then the alley is here. As far as I'm going to show you, okay, this is the house. Can you see that picture?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the photo of the front of the existing house. And, you know, it's really not the most becoming, and it's going to get a facelift supposedly after this. So really, we're not matching this house. We're going off a little bit on our own. I feel it's separated enough where that's valid. It's really 2 different places, really. And I think that in the future, she's claiming that this roof's coming off and it's going to be more of an asphalt shingle and maybe a little bit more of a Craftsman type situation. So that's kind of a bad picture, but that's looking back at the house. That's the old garage. So, you know, it's going to be up 2 stories. So anyway, it's basically the front house is probably going to end up looking like the back house. That's kind of her plan anyway.
Right.
And I think that's it.
Okay. Can you take us out of the screen share and let's see if we have any questions?
Okay. Okay, how do I do that? Stop share. Okay.
Perfect.
All
All right. Do we have any questions on this project?
Brad, do you remember?
I just have a quick question.
Go ahead, Angela.
What was
Hi, Lee. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I
Fellow
didn't know.
classmate. Anyway, you guys keep mentioning the washer dryer. Is that something that's required because it's a 2-bedroom or?
No.
I think you might maybe think that there's something fishy going on because there's no washing machine in there, which I totally get. But you know, I don't know what fishiness. She's spending 20 grand to get a coastal development permit where, you know, 2 blocks away, you don't have to spend anything. So she's committed to the ADU thing. And so, you know, whatever she wants, I guess. Yeah,
We're just used to seeing.
All right, thanks.
You know,
So I
brand
was
new.
just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, Corla, do you got a question?
Well, we questioned Lee. She plans on living in the ADU and renting the big house was the answer then. And Brad, do you remember the vote? Was that a unanimous vote by the committee?
Yes. Yeah.
I had a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Sam.
First off, the new structure is going to be a little bit lower than the existing structure. What are you doing in front of the new structure so that there's no drainage issues coming toward the new structure in one of our big downpours?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's real. Well, the way the property works now is it's all directed to the side yards and out to the alley, which it's a culvert type alley shape, and it runs east. That's the downhill flow. So really, there's not a lot of change because there was a structure there before, but the way the everything works is everything's going to the front of the main house does slope back to Saratoga. So there is a lot of the roof rainfall of the existing going to Saratoga, but you're right, a lot of it goes to the alley. And, you know, we have 4 foot on one side and we've got a big number on the other side. We're not going property line to property line. So we've got lots of room for drainage. And in my last site plan, I did show all the drainage arrows that they're requiring down at the city. So I think I've got it pretty handled. I think it's not going to change much, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you. The only other small petty issue I was going to raise is, just a second, I got it. I'm not a real fan of putting a little hardboard when you've got a nice stucco structure, but I guess that's up to the individual's taste.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Well,
quite.
in the back of the new structure, there's a hardboard. It's called hardboard siding.
Yes,
and it's
hardy
just a
board.
little
It
strip,
looks like
yeah.
just siding. Yeah, it's a siding thing.
Well, my own viewpoint is I would probably put it all stucco, but basically, I guess that's a owner's discretion.
Yeah, you know what? I think, okay, so if I'm going to screen share again. One more time. Okay, do you see the elevations?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the elevation facing towards the house. So that's all stucco. And, you know, frankly, the siding is really just to give it a little bit of warmth on the sidewalks, on the alley side, trying to give it some human scale kind of thing instead of just being a stucco box. And that was kind of the idea behind it anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Corla?
Thank you. Lee, do you have to capture your runoff water? Many projects have to do that now. Don't you have to capture that on site now, or is that not applied to you?
No. Residential projects are simply, you need to drain it through. If it's under a certain size, we had to do it on the Ocean Beach Plaza, or you know where, what's it called? The Wings place.
Dirty Birds.
Dirty Birds. That one we had to capture. Just a little story. To answer your question on the residential, no, that what they want to do is have you run it through landscaping and do the self-filter on site. But at OB Plaza, because of its size and scope, and there's no storm drains in the area, we captured everything. It goes into a filter, gets filtered, and then we pump it back out onto the sidewalk. So yeah, that's an extreme case, but in the residential projects, you don't have to do that.
Okay, Margaret?
I just want to ask, because I do sit in some of the project review meetings now, and I'm going to be pretty blunt here and just ask you, where are you at with the city on this project? Do you really need our approval?
Yeah, it's pretty much done. Just you know, a lot of stuff that I hate to say doesn't really matter, but has nothing to do with anything. You know, it's paleontologists and stuff like that, which we're not in the overlay. You know, lots of stuff that doesn't really matter. So
So with that said, I trust the judgment of the overall unanimous vote of the committee, and I'm going to make a motion to approve your request for this project.
Thank you, Margaret. We got a vote. Motion.
second it.
Second from Tina. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the project? I think I see everybody except for I do not see your hand down, so I don't know if your vote.
I was thinking of abstaining, but I'll vote yes.
Okay, all right. Well, then you're unanimous. Perfect.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate all your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Fred, I need to interrupt. Rachel Granadino is here with Chris Ward's office and has some comments. And then Monique Tello joined us, but I don't know if she's still in. So can we let Rachel speak?
Yeah. No, Rachel, I'm going to apologize. I saw you. I just skipped over that for a second. So you've been here. Rachel's been here the whole time. So Rachel, on behalf of Chris Ward's office, yes, please go ahead and make a report.
No problem at all. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Granadino. I'm a recent addition to Assemblymember Chris Ward's office. Biggest news out of the state, which I'm sure you all have seen, is that provided we continue with low hospitalizations and enough vaccine supply, California will be reopening on June 15th. It does still mean modifications when reopening by using masks and no large events just yet. I do have a guideline which took effect today for smaller gatherings, for fully vaccinated individuals, and for private events and venues. If you guys would like to see that, please just send me an email. I'll put my link in the chat and I'll send it on over to you. For anyone looking to view our legislative package, it is on our website. And also for anyone that was seeking an update on AB 80, which was about aligning the tax code for individuals who had businesses and the PPP income tax with the state tax. I have been told that this is going to happen within a matter of days. Language was agreed upon by the Treasury Department, the California State Assembly, the State Senate, and the Governor's Office recently. So hopefully we'll see that soon. And then as always, if anyone has any issues with any state agencies, please feel free to email me. I would be more than happy to help. Our whole office would really.
So Rachel, one thing you can do, if you have that information on staying safe and that, why don't you, if you send that to me, then I'll distribute it to the board and then Margaret will send it around to the community. So if you have anything that you think is important in the community like that, feel free to always send it to me and then I'll blast it out to the board and Margaret will blast it out to another 20 million people. So so that's a good way to do it and it's very effective. So
perfect. I'll send it on over to you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
And it doesn't look like Monique is still in the meeting, Fred.
All right, we'll say, Monique, are you here? I saw her earlier, then she left and that's why I didn't call on her. And then she came back after we moved on. So if she comes back again, I have a suspicion people might have some questions for Jen Campbell's office, but we'll see. All right. Thank you, Rachel.
Awesome. Of course, I have to jump off to my next meeting, but I will see you guys all next time.
Thank you. All right. We are moving on to informational items and we have CPC update. Corla, can you give us an update on that?
I can. I gave some of the information already just through the way the meeting progressed, but and this is just sort of chronological order the way it happened in the meeting. The mayor obviously just signed the STVR thing, and OB made comments and wants to be sure that the STVR metrics are evaluated yearly. Save San Diego Neighborhoods has issued a statement letter to City Council, which can be read online. We will continue at CPC to be discussing the SDG&E franchise agreement. CPC would like someone from the city and SDG&E to present rather than advocates of public power. They feel like we're getting a one-sided presentation. DSD is now, as talked about, announced their electronic services. JC Thomas, the assistant director, is not a reviewer, but all permits are now online. There are virtual counter meetings, virtual inspections. You can get electronic notices. So to get those electronic public notices, go to sandiego.gov/DSD and select news and updates and self-select events or opt out of what information you want to receive via email. They are transitioning all the paper records to digital. They will all be digitized, but there are 8 million records back as far as 1955. So, and they want our project review committee to be sure and upload all project decisions to the city. And then the important thing that's a little bit worrisome, Joe LaCava, who was formerly CPC chair and also represents District 1 now on City Council, was talking about 600-24. And the last update to that document was in 2014. And there's a problem now. The city charter says when they recognize a body, it must operate within the city rules. So city charter says we cannot be volunteers and have elections and all that kind of stuff. It is suggested from this review that planning groups be appointed by the mayor and ratified by City Council. There are about 700 volunteers on these boards. They have created a task force to reconcile all of this. CPC recommended and offered alternative language in 2020, and the city attorney jumped in and agreed with the CPC recommendations. So the issue is, what are we resting 600-24 on, and how does that intersect with the city charter? So they say the planning department still wants us, but I don't know if y'all remember the grand jury report from a few years ago. I have the opinion that they've been wanting to get rid of us for a while. I hope not, but this is similar to what the recreational advisory groups went through. The city stepped in a few years ago and took all their money and reorganized them and took away basically their ability to act for the rec council. So what Joe said is, it's like planning groups will be self-governing. They will not look to the city to end disputes. They will be self-policing. That 624 is a set of terms and conditions, and that we might craft our own bylaws. So then the question came up, what about indemnification? What about the stipend? Nobody knows, none of that's decided. So since it's 60 years old, you know, apparently the city's thinking it's outdated or whatever. So Joe wants to move this along. They're still doing community plan updates to make the majority of projects ministerial, which would also render us ineffective. So Joe LaCava said he will be fighting for the planning groups, and he's not sure of what District 2 position on this. So it would have been nice if Monique could have been here. And I don't know if I could really answer any questions, but that's just what's happening, and that's just what was reported. So give it your best shot, and I'll see if I can or can't.
Okay, Margaret, you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to elaborate on that as well, because I was part of that very long meeting and it was concerning to me. I mean, across the board, everybody grew a little bit angry and upset and super concerned. When they were explaining it, they were kind of vague, but what people were taking away from it is that everyone's going to do their own thing, have their own bylaws, have their own deal in the city, especially for election challenges. We have one of the largest elections, and we've depended on the city for challenges, support, advice. They're going to eliminate all that. We're going to have to decide what to do with those challenges on our own. Everyone's going to do their own thing as far as bylaws. They're going to make their own decisions, and the city's really not going to rely on the planning boards. So a lot of the concerns that were shared amongst the planning board representatives were, okay, well, then you're going to get a lot more complaints and emails from community members, because they normally come to us, the planning boards, to discuss projects and issues. We're the sounding board, the advisory board to the city. So you get rid of us and you really don't use us or listen to us, you're going to get direct emails, which is going to be worse. So from what my take was from it is that they just don't have the support and the need for managing all these. How many planning boards is it?
52 or 54.
52. And it's 52 times, all the amount of, suggestions that we give them, and they just can't handle it. So it's unfortunate. It's very concerning, but I'd like to move this discussion over to long range planning. I feel like it is a long-term discussion that we should definitely not disregard. I know that just from reading chats, I was in the chat pretty religiously there commenting as well. And I could see that people are taking it back to their planning boards for discussion and potential action. And so I think that we need to really discuss this as a board, keep it on our radar, and maybe even, take action if we need to. But it is a really important thing that we need to discuss.
Well, Margaret, I think taking it to long range planning is a good idea. I mean, there's a lot of really significant things happening citywide at CPC. And so taking those to some place like long range planning where we can have a thoughtful response, because that's what we need to give the city, is a thoughtful response on these issues and the ways it can be.
Absolutely.
And it's
Fred, I think Don had his hand up.
Go ahead, Don.
Oh, I concur with what you just said, Fred. Do we need a motion to that effect?
I don't think we need a motion. We just,
Thank you.
We have to appoint Margaret chair of long range planning in a few minutes, and then she can tackle it.
It's just too bad that CPC meets on Tuesday after our Thursday meeting, and we have to wait a whole month to get back
And I really enjoyed piggybacking with Corla because, as you know, they share so much stuff in these meetings that you really need two people in there to just gather all the it's a lot. And you know, and you just have to, I was in the chat, Corla was in the meeting. And I think between the two of us, we were able to get a lot of the details that we need to for this. We're one of the larger planning boards. So I think we nailed it, Corla.
They were pretty surprised by how many votes we got. Somebody got 40 ballots on their election, you know, so everybody's jaw kind of dropped when I announced we had 644 ballots for our 11 positions. So it was interesting.
Yeah. Any other questions for Corla? You're doing a great job. All right, we're making good progress. We have Sandag that wanted to give us an overview of a new Navy project. Are they here? There's Gia right there.
I'm here. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I'm just going to share my screen really
Go ahead.
quickly. Okay, one more try. Okay, I think this should work. Hopefully you can all see this. Yes, thank you everyone for having me. My name is Gia Balish. I'm here today on behalf of Sandag, and I'm going to speak with you about a joint project underway at Sandag in conjunction with Navy Region Southwest, and that is the San Diego Region Military Installation Resilience Effort. So to give you a quick overview of, you know, really what this project encompasses, Sandag and the Navy are working together to ultimately develop solutions to potential climate threats in the area and specifically how they could impact key transportation facilities that are necessary to the Navy remaining operational and mission ready. So we're working together to, you know, identify what those climate threats could be, what the transportation facilities are that are essential to the Navy remaining operational, and ultimately developing solutions to ensure that we are, you know, that we have climate resilience plans in place. And then there's also a data sharing component simply to ensure long-term collaboration between Sandag and the Navy in this effort. All of this is made possible through a grant that we received last summer from the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation. And it's important to note that Caltrans and the City of San Diego are sub-recipients of that grant. However, we are working with several local jurisdictions in this effort. Here is the study area for our project. So you can see that we're really focused on the 3 naval bases here in San Diego. So Naval Base Coronado, Point Loma, and San Diego. And then of course, some of their installations that are, you know, perhaps subsidiary, you know, areas of their bases. Now, I know I gave you the general overview, but to dive a little bit deeper into some of our key objectives. So again, we are looking to enhance ongoing collaboration between Sandag and the Navy to include a climate resilience focus. So that means developing those climate resilience strategies that I mentioned to support ongoing Navy operations and mission readiness. Also developing long-term data sharing and information sharing procedures so that Sandag and the Navy can continue to work together to collect key information on not only climate studies, but also transportation networks. So again, we remain on top of any potential climate threats and are able to address them accordingly. And then, you know, lastly, our goal is to incorporate our study into concurrent efforts that we have at Sandag and in conjunction with Caltrans to develop solutions to transportation corridors throughout the region. So we'll apply the findings of this study where possible. Now, for the resilience piece of this effort, this outlines the 4 key steps. So at first, we're identifying what those potential climate threats or stressors could be. And then we're looking at the transportation facilities that are essential to Navy operations and developing vulnerability reports to basically see how those climate threats could impact those transportation facilities. And then creating these long-term adaptation strategies, which are really putting together recommended projects, programs, or policies to ensure that, again, that we're able to deal with, any potential impacts of those climate threats. Now, in our work with the Navy to date, these are the key or the top climate threats that we have identified. So coastal storms or storm surge, erosion, tsunami, flooding, and sea level rise. And again, these are specifically identified with those Navy bases in mind. And then here are the transportation facilities that we've identified in conjunction with the Navy as being key to their operations. So key to access to the bases and just their overall mission readiness. So I won't read through all of these, but I will leave the screen up for a moment so that you can look through. You can see we have the facilities listed by base. They do include freeways and highways as well as local roadways. And these are, like I said, what we've determined in conjunction with the Navy to be really critical to their remaining operational. Okay, and then I mentioned that there's a data sharing component. Like I said before, we're really looking on setting up long-term strategies so that we can continue to share data between SANDAG and the Navy so that, again, we're able to stay apprised of any climate reports or climate studies that either agency may complete, any, data we may have on transportation networks or travel or commute patterns so that, again, we can most readily assess threats and I want to say deal with them, but that's not necessarily the right, that's not the technical phrasing, I'm sure, but address them as needed. And then just a quick timeline of where we're at and what's to come. So in March, we conducted a peer review process. This is really where we get together with other climate experts from other jurisdictions or partner agencies to really look at the data that we have to date and look at, some of the models or our plans for, really beginning this process. So it's sort of a checks and balances process, if you will. Then late last month, we completed a climate vulnerability report. So that was really looking at, again, those climate threats that we had identified and how they could potentially impact those transportation facilities that we identified. Now we're in the process of, conducting outreach and engagement. So not only does that include this presentation today and making sure that the surrounding communities are aware of this effort, but also working closely with other jurisdictions to engage, for example, City of San Diego, but also City of Coronado, City of Imperial Beach, and other communities or agencies like Caltrans, for example, that may ultimately be a part of any sort of programs or projects that we might recommend through this effort. The port and airport are also included in that. And then ultimately, this is going to culminate with a final report that we are aiming to produce in June of this year. And again, that is going to outline those long-term climate adaptation strategies, as well as long-term data sharing processes. Now, I mentioned this is all made possible through a grant that we received. The current effort is scheduled to conclude this summer, but there is the possibility that this could be extended or that we could receive additional grant funding to perhaps expand upon this effort. So that's something that we're actually in the process of exploring right now. And if you have any questions, I can certainly try to address them today, but also I've included my contact information as well as the contact information of the project manager, April De Jesus. Both of us are with SANDAG, so we welcome any questions or comments that you might have, and I'll make sure to put our contact information in the chat today. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So perfect. Do we have any questions for Gia?
I do have a question for Gia, and it may not be able to be answered today, but I would like for clarification for the military traffic counts. Which community do they count for? I've been told that coming in from the 8th that those get counted for OB. Would you be able to clarify where the military traffic counts are applied for our community here on the peninsula?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to answer that today, Mandy, but I can go back to our project team, specifically our data expert, and see. I do know that, we're still working on gathering a lot of the data that we need for this study. And as you can imagine, the Navy is rather private. So, in terms of what can be shared and what can't, that's something that we're actually going through right now. And that's part of the process that we're implementing. But I can see, so specifically, just to make sure I understand, you're looking at the travel patterns from the peninsula via the 8, let's say, which base those are counted toward.
Exactly. All the traffic, I'll clarify, all traffic coming on and off the peninsula. I would like to clarify where they are accounted for and which community. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you,
Matt, you got
Gia.
a question?
Hi, as someone who commutes on base for my research site, and also someone who's worked with Bike SD to talk with some of the Navy representatives about transportation issues, it seems like there's been a really big focus from the Navy on infrastructure, but something that's been missing, I think, in a lot of conversations has also been about like programs, things that could induce like behavioral change and adaptation. So I'm curious to what extent you're looking at solutions kind of in that mode for resiliency in terms of behavioral adaptations, as opposed to just infrastructure. One to give, if you've ever heard of the disaster relief trials, these are a series of kind of cargo bike challenges simulating emergency responses where, there's major transportation grid disruptions. How could you get, resources distributed and like medical attention via things like cargo bicycles? So yeah, kind of like programs versus infrastructure in that way.
So but Matt, just to clarify, are you speaking with regard to climate threat in general and programs that would potentially be in place to address, let's say, a disaster or something of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, it looked like you laid out two different kinds of tracks where due to climate threats, we have things like erosion, which, this is kind of more of a chronic issue, as opposed to something like a storm surge or tsunami, which could be, I guess tsunami isn't even really climate change except due to rising sea level. Some of these are just kind of like one-off things that could have major disruption, where the other ones are more gradual, you get more lead time. So it seems like there might be kind of different behavioral adaptations you might want for targeting those different areas. To what extent are you treating them as different kinds of problems?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will say, so if I'm understanding correctly, we received a similar question at another community planning group that I presented to. Oh, sorry, my phone is very loud. We received another question that was similar with regard to, basically a response or an alert system. And if we would consider something like that as well. So not just the infrastructure side, but something that would actually alert communities and, therefore, prepare the community, let's say, should there be a tsunami or some other sort of, catastrophic climate induced event. So I know it actually sparked a really interesting conversation on our end as a project team. We actually spoke about, for example, with Sandag's regional plan, and I promise this isn't just a plug to our regional plan, but we were actually talking about how there's a, component to that, which is the Next OS, which is intended to be more like smart programs. So, things that could, include maybe like an alert system or some sort of program of that nature. So again, if I'm understanding correctly, and it's in line with that conversation that we just recently had, we don't necessarily think it fits within our current scope to go into detail on that, but it is something that the project team is considering, and they've actually considered recommending that in the final report as something that should be looked into further down the road. So it is, it's a great comment, and again, something that it sounds like we really need to think about.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Nicole, you got a question?
Fred, I'll just follow up on that if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Gia. I appreciate the presentation and information and climate adaptation strategies. I mean, we've been adapting this last year from climate, adapting to the climate crisis, right? So we are going to have to continue to keep adapting, and how our military, and I think that's kind of what Matt is kind of, I'm just going to kind of tag on to that kind of thought process. Those programs for our military and how they can be prepared readiness is actually something that the Navy is really big on. So just getting these individuals and our enlisted and the people that are coming to these and having safe places to go without a car. I mean, that giving prior notification has been noticed in wildfires, like getting the evacuation. But when you have an evacuation and you have traffic congestion, you're going to be at a deadlock stop. So having those throwaways and having those pathways for active commuters and actually having those people know how to use that active transportation beforehand, and really like having our men and women become resilient by getting to and from their workplaces now before we have that catastrophe or that emergency. We need to teach them now. We need to be able to be prepared. And I think what Matt is saying is that there's these systems, these bikes that actually can generate power when you ride them in place. And all of a sudden you can put up electrodes and create power for these medical technicians to come into emergency disasters with this small unit, this small device. I mean, we're seeing little cargo electric bikes that can carry a lot of emergency tools and things. And so that's what I think what Matt is referring to is these programs that can really like, how can we actually bring these on in our programs now? So that our military knows how to use them because we are going to have to face these kind of situations. And so how do we best prepare our military is really like showing them really those best practices now. So just thank you. I appreciate letting me make the comments and just something to think about.
Yeah, no, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. That helps me to think about Matt's comment, I think, in a clearer context. So I appreciate both of your explanations. Clearly, I'm not the technical expert in this, so I'm learning too. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions? All right, Gia, thank you. Appreciate the information.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. All right. Making good progress. I think we are going to go to the appointment now of our committees and our chairs. So for the new people at this meeting, we'll appoint committee chairs, and we'll ask for volunteers of board members that want to serve on the various committees. And then the committees can come back and give us recommendations at the next meeting of public members that they want to have join their committee. So with that, I will go with our bread and butter and our most important committee of what we do on a daily basis and project review. And I think that, Margaret, do you have somebody you want to nominate?
I want to do it. Just kidding. Joe Holisack.
Okay, Joe.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you, Mandy. All those, any other, any discussion?
Is Joe willing?
Yes.
No.
Just for the record, I will say that, because everybody's always been assuming that Joe was doing it, but I did have a phone call with Joe just to make sure that that he was okay with it, and he said he is. So that's a great thing. And having somebody with so much knowledge in that position is really, really key for us. So all those in favor of having Joe take over as chair of project review, raise your hands.
Yes.
That
Do I
appears
vote for myself?
unanimous. There you go, Joe.
Sure.
I'll vote for you too.
Okay, so now we can have several people volunteer. Who would like to serve as a board member on project review?
I would.
Okay, Brad Heron,
Me too, Corla.
Corla, Margaret.
We'll
You're on
step
mute.
back if there's someone else that wants to, because I just go to the meetings anyways.
Okay.
Paul, would you like to be on that?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Great.
All right, and Robert, you're on there now, right? Okay.
Correct.
Well, I think that 4 might be a good number. Margaret, are you okay just being a person showing up there?
Yes. Yeah, and I would just want to really say that this is an important meeting to go to. I did see that there was some failed attempts in the beginning of, this committee, people showing up and they sign up for it. You really have to be there. Joe's going to need your support as far as voting to bring back things to the board. So if you're going to sign up, please be at all these meetings, because this is a big one for us. And like today, I depended on the committee to bring us the votes and the discussions, so we don't spend too much time at these meetings. So please, if you're going to sign up for a position, make those meetings.
Okay. So just to recap, we have Joe, and then the board members are Brad, Corla, Robert, and Paul. All right. Traffic and transportation. We had Mandy was the chair. Do we have?
I'll nominate Mandy again if she accepts.
I would love to
I'll
be the
second
chair.
her. She did an awesome job last year.
I'd like to be the chair of the traffic and transportation again.
Is anybody else interested in doing that? Okay, all those in favor of Mandy, please raise your hand. There you go, Mandy. Congratulations. Good job.
Thank you.
Who would like to serve on traffic and transportation with Mandy? Mark, we got a lot. So I'm going to make sure that I get these. So I've got Matt, I've got Angela, I've got Nicole, Margaret, Tina, and I've got Robert.
And if I may, Fred, really quickly, I want to be on this one just because I do surveys with the community. And I've been doing it for the last 3 years. I've sat on this committee for the last 3 years. And I just feel like I really want to continue that, sharing with the committee the pros and the cons and what we've developed and what we haven't. And then just kind of be one of those experienced people on this committee that can continue what we've started.
Okay. Well, following up on that, go ahead, Corla, you got a question?
Yeah, I just have a comment. That's 6 people on that committee, so you guys will be limited to 1 community member on that committee. You can't have more than a majority.
Why is that?
Because you can't have more on a committee than the majority of the board, because it makes it a board meeting.
Then I can resign if I have to. I mean, I don't have to.
I'm happy to have board members on there. I'm just telling you procedurally, you can't have more.
That's not accurate. I'm sorry, Carla, but it's not. You just can't have more than 7 board members, because that would be a majority. That would be a board.
Okay.
But as long as you have a minority, you can, not to play parliamentarian from the sidelines now, but I think that as long as 6 is, I think is okay. Don,
all right.
Don, who is now the parliamentarian, can weigh in.
Unless I misheard, I heard 7 names for that committee.
Yeah, there's 7. There's myself, Matt, Angela, Nicole, Margaret, Tina, and Robert.
And then that would be a problem.
No, you don't have a majority board member.
Oh, 7,
You have to
right,
match.
right.
7.
I think that's the maximum.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Tina,
It's a pretty unwieldy committee, though.
I can resign if I have to, because I have a lot of committees I would like to do anyway, so I can do something else if it becomes a problem.
Right. And I feel the same way. If you feel like you need to put more, a couple more community members in there, I'm okay with that.
We can still add community members to this. It would not limit the participation. It's actually going to enhance the participation of the community. So the big issue though is with large groups is, again, like Margaret said, we need to have people showing up. So if you cannot come to these meetings, there's a lot of work that goes into these meetings every month. And if we can't push it forward, it can be very frustrating at times if we don't get quorum at these meetings. So
Well, why don't we take a
just
look
keep
at
that in mind.
I would
Parks and
suggest an attendance, rule on that. If somebody doesn't show up for 2 or 3 times, get rid of them.
Okay, that's a great suggestion, Robert. I mean, we can bring that up in the future if that becomes an issue.
I concur.
All right, so if there's no issues, I mean, I would love to have all of you.
Yeah, I mean, my thought is that we have so many people and we have a lot of enthusiasm, and having having people that want to participate is a good thing. So
Yeah.
especially the new people, right? We got, as long as Angela and Tina have time, right? We have to get them, you gotta get your feet wet. Gotta get your feet wet.
I guess we should wait and find out what other committees that,
I don't know. I'm gonna
wherever
step
there's
in
a need,
puddle or
I'm willing to
flood.
step. Exactly.
More than one committee, there's no limit to that. You can be on all the committees you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
I said, are we gonna step in a puddle or a flood?
Yeah. Well, we'll fill out the committees, and then after we fill out the committees, if you feel like you're over committed, then you just let everybody know, and then we'll make an
Yeah.
adjustment. So how about Parks and Recreation? I think Mandy, you were chair of that too, and would you be willing to do that again?
I would love to be the chair of the Parks and Recreation. I've worked with Dawn and Angela and Margaret and Tina, as they were my community members. So if you know of any other community, all my community members for both boards have been taken up as board members. So that's a good thing. So we're looking for some new blood with our new community members. I would love to be the chair of the
Okay.
Parks.
Is anybody else interested in being chair of Parks and Recreation?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a co-chair. It was you and Dawn that we voted on last.
No, I was that, but I would be more than happy to have Don as co-chair if that's what he'd like to
Well,
do.
Consider me a silent co-chair. We've worked very well, so that's not an issue.
We can put Don on the committee. No problem.
All right, vote you both down.
Okay, so I think everybody in favor of Mandy, please raise your hand. All right, good job, Mandy. All right, I'm going to put Don down as your first committee member. Who else wants to be on Parks and Rec?
I do.
Okay, I've got Angela, Tina, Margaret. All right. We have long-term planning. Margaret, you've been chair of long-term planning. Do you want to be the chair? Okay.
Can I be co-chair?
But disclaimer, we're going to be doing some work because there's a lot coming through the pipelines with surrounding neighborhoods. So I think it'll go hand in hand with a lot of what Corla has been researching. And I would like for this group to put together a really constructed long-term plan for the future of the peninsula. So all is welcome.
Yeah, well, and I think it's really important. I think that the pandemic is going to be one of those things that causes people to reassess all their lives, and there's so many things going on. So getting it right now is an important time. So so Margaret, you want to be chair. Does anybody else interested in being chair? Okay, all those in favor of Margaret for long-term planning? There you go, Margaret. Congratulations. And who would like to serve on long-term planning? Tina.
Come on, I need 7 people. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
I'll co-chair with her. I don't want to be the chair.
Yeah, all right. Well, we have you on the committee. So we had Tina, Matt, Robert. Yeah, Robert. That's a good one.
Matt had his hand up. We need Matt as well.
I have Matt. I've got Tina, Matt, and Robert.
Yeah.
Sam, are you interested, Sam Lobb?
Yeah, I'm trying to see what all committees there are, but
You'll be great. We need you.
I second that.
I think Sam will be great.
Come on, Sam.
okay.
Promise I won't have a lot of meetings.
All right, Sam, you're on.
No
you're in
pressure.
on long-term planning.
No pressure, Sam, but you're on.
All right. I think it's almost like a standing committee, but we have the environmental ad hoc committee, and everybody, the bylaws don't make it an official committee, but we definitely, everybody I think is in favor of continuing that committee. And we had Mandy and Eva were the co-chairs of that. And I don't, do you two have a thought on the environmental committee?
I would like to continue co-chairing with Mandy if she's willing, and definitely continue the environmental committee. I think we've done some good work the last couple of years, and I definitely think we should continue the committee.
Yeah. Well, we just had even the military is worried about the environment these days. So Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, all right. Is anybody else want to chair, or are we okay with having Eva and Mandy co-chair the Environmental Ad Hoc Committee?
I think that'd be great, but I really want to point out that right now I sit on some of the other city committees meetings, and the Climate Action Plan and Environmental Committee play a huge part in conversation in today's decision-making things for our city. So I'd like to see this committee attend some of those city meetings and bring back to the table what the ultimate plan is for our city and our own neighborhood. We are a coastal committee on the most dangerous tip of San Diego. They're starting to share some information, some readily prepared safety plans that I'd like for us to discuss on, and that's part of this committee. So if you girls can take that on and be more involved from the city's perspective, I think that'd be great.
Well, and I'll just say that true, the committees can overlap too. So, I mean, environmental issues are also long-term issues. So if you're at something that's a long-term environmental issue, then bring it to the get the environmental committee involved in it too, so that we get different perspectives on it. So, all those in favor of having Eva and Mandy be the co-chair of the Environmental Ad Hoc Committee? Congratulations. You two will be wonderful. Who would like to serve on the Environmental Committee? I got Nicole, Angela, and are you sure, Margaret? You're like on everything.
I will do it if we need help, but I
I've
want to
done this
actually
before,
do
like not everybody meets all the time, so.
All right. So, all right, well then I have Nicole, Angela, and Tina. Do you want to be on?
Yes, but I actually want to chair Liberty Station, so I'm waiting. Make sure I'm not over committing.
Okay. So is that a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, and Margaret. Okay, we have the airport committee. I've been the chair of the airport committee for the last 4 years, and I enjoy it and I like being on it. But I was wondering, since I've got a lot going on, whether somebody would step up like Paul Webb, who's got a lot of airport experience, and take over that committee. And I think Paul said he would do it. So Paul.
Yeah, I'd be happy to if that's what the board wants.
Okay. Well, as a current chair, I recommend Paul to the board to take over as the airport committee chair.
I think that would be a great fit. And thank you, Paul, for doing that.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah. Okay. All those in favor of Paul Webb for chair of the airport committee? Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
I know that I'm an ad hoc committee member to everything, but I'm also I'll try to be an official member to the airport committee too. So is anybody else interested in serving on the airport committee with Paul?
I'll volunteer.
Sam, I got you.
Yeah.
All right, we got Sam. Perfect. All right. We do have some liaison positions, so I'll go to that one. Let's go to Liberty Station first, because somebody that's interested in that. So do we have somebody? I think that David Dick used to be our Liberty Station liaison. So is there somebody who'd like to do that? Oh, I have a Margaret and a Tina.
I was gonna nominate Tina because she expressed interest when I sent the email for Liberty Station updates.
Okay.
I'll
Tina,
second
you
that
accept that
nomination.
Okay.
She's frozen.
You're frozen?
Tina, you're interested in being the liaison?
I am.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of Tina being our Liberty Station liaison? There you go. Good job, Tina.
Thank you.
How about our Midway liaison? Who would be interested in being that? Yeah, Margaret.
I'm already the liaison. I have been for the last 3 years, so I have to be in the artery of Midway, unfortunately, with upcoming plans. And DK, you're here, Midway Planning Board member. Hello, holler.
Hello,
and,
good evening.
I've developed a really good relationship with Midway, and I'd like to continue that.
Okay, Nicole, I saw your hand up. Are you okay with that? I think you're frozen, Nicole.
She's on mute.
You're okay?
I think I was sorry. I missed that.
Okay. I just saw your hand up. I just want to make sure you're okay with Margaret taking over as our, or staying as our Midway liaison.
That's fine. I can attend their meetings as well.
Okay, that is true. That is true. Everybody can do that.
Yeah, we'll take all of you.
DK, I skipped over you, but is there anything that you wanted to say for Midway?
Yeah, I'm not sure you skipped me. I think I was maybe a little bit late at the part that I would usually say things, but no, I think I'm not sure if there was anything covered about. I think the biggest update, we haven't actually had our Midway committee meeting yet. Ours is next week, just the schedules of the calendars tune out. So I have nothing new to report other than just this news about the Surplus Land Act, which I'm assuming you've all discussed.
Yeah, we got a detailed report on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we had our community advisory board meeting for the Brookfield thing yesterday. We talked about parks and things, but yeah, basically they just don't know what to tell us yet, so we're sitting tight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so all those in favor of Margaret being the Midway liaison? Congratulations, Margaret. And I believe that we have an Ocean Beach liaison position.
It's myself. I've been the OB Planning Board liaison for the last 2 years. I would like to continue that unless if there's no one else who would like to take that. I really enjoyed partnering with OB Planning Board.
Does anybody else want to take that position from Mandy? Okay, all those in favor of Mandy? There you go. Congratulations, Mandy.
All right, got to get to work now.
You got to, yeah.
You have a lot on your plate, girl.
Yeah.
I think that covers all of our committees. The next item we have is the CPC representative. And our current situation is we have Corla as a CPC representative and Margaret as a CPC alternate. And I just want to say for the board is that traditionally, I think that most of the boards have the chair be the CPC representative, but I just have way too much stuff on my plate. And Corla has done a great job, and Margaret's been a great alternate, and they've both been a good tag team there, and they've done a great job for the board. So my recommendation is that we would continue with those two if they're willing to do it, so they can let us know. Corla, what do you think?
Just a second, Nicole, back in. So I'm happy to continue. If someone else would like it, I'm happy to give it over to. If Margaret, if you want to be the representative, whoever is new to the CPC meetings has to attend 2 meetings before they're allowed to vote. So Margaret would be able to vote if you wanted to take that over, and I'm happy either way.
We'll see what Margaret says. I mean, I think you two, since you already have a vote, Corla, and Margaret's got plenty on her plate. I think you being the CPC rep and Margaret being the alternate makes sense to me.
Are you okay with that, Margaret?
I mean, does anybody else have objections? It's nice seeing the chair there, of course, because the majority of the attendance is the chair there, but I think Corla's done an amazing job, and we're going to need to bring a lot of stuff back to the table. Yeah. COVID kind of limited us on decision makings, and we had to kind of, do our best with what was dealt. But
would you like to be the representative since you're doing the long range planning and all that other stuff that really is...
I think having 2 people is fine with me. I attend them anyways, so...
Yeah, they just won't let you vote, I don't think, unless you're official. I'm not sure. You've been to enough meetings. We'd have to clarify that, but I'd be happy letting you be the representative, and I think you should have a vote. So would you be okay with that? Or?
I'm totally fine. But I would like for you to be the backup. I mean,
Sure.
You've done an amazing job. I'd hate for you to not be involved in that
Yeah, no.
process.
I mean, we can, if it's all up to you.
It's fine. What is the board? Are you guys all sleeping or ready for dinner?
Are you saying you
Yes.
want the position, Margaret? I think that's
I
what Corla's
don't
asking
want
you.
to step on Corliss' toes because she's done an amazing job. So if she would like to continue to be
So
that person, I am okay with it if Fred's okay with it because he is the chair.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is, I think you did a great job, but I just think that with everything you have going, Margaret, keeping Corla as the primary person is good, and having
That's
you.
fine with me.
Right. All right.
Well-
Then whatever.
And have Margaret as the backup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yep.
So Corla, are you okay with that?
No, we haven't. Yes, I know we haven't taken the vote yet, but speaking of that, I'm going to need everyone's information. CPC is asking for a new roster. So if everyone could give me their contact information, actually, I'll reach out first with the form and information that's needed and let you all know that. So just be prepared and look for Corla Jane at iCloud, because sometimes my Mac emails go to your spam folders. So
Okay, so I think that we're in agreement. So the proposal would be that Corla would be the primary CPC person and Margaret would be our official alternate. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor of that? All right, perfect. We have to split this up a little bit. All right, I think we have covered all the positions we need to cover for tonight. Is there any other positions that people want to consider or vote on?
Really quickly, David Dick, are you there? Hello, David Dick.
I am
Good
here.
job with the election.
Oh, well, thanks.
You missed the kudos in the beginning by Fred.
Well, you guys, I just wanted to say that Margaret and Paul and Jim Hare did a fantastic job. It was a big job, but and unusual for sure. And it took a long time to get it right, but I think we did. And so thank you very much, Margaret, Paul, and Jim in absentia. You guys were a great committee to work with. And I wish all the new members, board members, all kinds of luck. I think you've got a great board. Corla filled me in on your officers. I think you've got great officers. I think you're off to a great year. Good luck. I'll be sniping from the sidelines.
David, are you back on normal time zones?
I am not. I'm still in Rhode Island.
Oh my
We'll
gosh.
come back in sometime after. Actually, we may come back just before Mother's Day, and then to be determined after that. But we're enjoying it here, and I'm getting no distraction, so I'm getting an awful lot of work done. It's actually great.
Thanks for all your efforts, David. Really appreciate what you did during the election.
Well, it was a worthy effort, and we had a great turnout, and I think we learned a few things.
And we all retired from that election committee.
Well, no, actually, Margaret, I understand you're going to be chairing the next election.
So you'll receive a phone call from me, Mr. David.
Well, I'm changing all my numbers to Rhode Island area codes. So anyway, thanks.
Fabulous job, David. Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. Yeah.
Fred,
Go ahead, Paul.
it's Paul here. I was wondering, I show here, I'm looking at the committee's page, and I assume the governance is still inactive.
Yeah.
Was a FAMOSA listed tonight, or is that still going to be active?
I think that the FAMOSA and the government ad hoc committees are essentially not active right now. So I don't think that we need to appoint them. If we activate them, we will. And on the ANAC, I'm going to continue as the ANAC rep for now, but I guess I should say as part of the airport, there's going to be a vote on the Part 150 study, which is going to be complete, and that's going to happen next week. And depending on, it's probably going to get voted to approve, and shortly thereafter, we may be bringing a motion to have Paul take over as the ANAC rep too.
I just had one more question. I've got all of them down here. I was going to update the website here tonight, but the one that Mandy is, you were talking between the Midway and the CPC. Mandy took one. Is that the Ocean Beach Planning Board one?
Yeah. The
Yes.
planning board is on is Mandy.
That's good.
Okay. I think that's all I've got for tonight. Does anybody else have any other issues they want to discuss? All right. Well, congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. A good first meeting. And we will talk to everybody. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions in interim. And let's get those committees going.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Good job, everyone. Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Fred, for hosting. Thanks,
I
everyone.
just want to say something. Corla, thank you for, being a new member. Thank you for sending all those great emails about what's, going on in our community and what we can, look at, et cetera. Thank you.
But we got to thank Margaret for keeping us updated. She's next door on Facebook and really gets the word out as well. So thank you.
With your help, Corla, always. Teamwork.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Good night,
All right.
everyone.
Thank
Go
you,
enjoy
guys.
some wine.
Good night.
Right.
Yes.